Yo, what's up guys? Mr. Flamingo Man / Goku Chin-Ups here, and today I'm going to show you how to replace your bass player. Guys, I'm going to show you two ways to replace your bass player. I'm going to show you what I think is the best way first, and then I'll show you the other way, which I've also kind of found out. But before I talk about that, there's one important thing to note, is that you need to be able to obviously have a bass amp and an octave pedal. And then the rest are a little bit extra, you could say. But you need a bass amp and you need an octave pedal. Those are the most important things, as well as multiple guitar cables, obviously. But this is the best way I found so far on kind of my setup, okay? So, this guitar looks like a Abomination. I kind of dig this look, but for all of the methods, the basic idea is you want to have a pickup go separate to a separate output to a bass amp, and then obviously you put an octave pedal there, and then you do that. I prefer the Stratocaster or any kind of guitar with a route for 3 pickups, or you can, swimming pool route. This way you can still have the functionality of 2 pickups, and then you have the middle pickup, which no one really uses, let's be honest, as the bass pickup, right? So if you look here, I think this is the best version. I'll link this in the description, but I found this 4-string guitar pickup, which had 2 of these, like a P bass, but I just only used 1, and I've jacked it as high as I can to only pick up the bottom 2 strings, okay? And so what this does is it only picks up these 2 strings, and then these 4 are not picked up, okay? And basically this goes out to an octave pedal to make it lower and obviously make the bass sound, right? This is the best way I found. You have this go to a separate jack. So I have this one as the guitar jack, and then this one as the bass jack. And I think a band called Local H also does that a long time ago, and I agree with them. I think this is the best possible way to do it. Now you could wire this to have a volume and stuff like that, but I don't have enough outputs or holes in this pickguard really to do that, okay? So I found this to be the best kind of method for guitars with this kind of option. You can have multiple jacks, and then you could have one pickup dedicated to the bass amp. Now there are another way to do it, which is, let's say you have a Les Paul or a 2-pickup guitar. All right, this one actually I'm tinkering with, so it's non-functional, the bass part anyway, but the same logic still applies. So this is a stereo jack here. And if you don't know how that works, you can just kind of research it, but there's only one jack, which is stereo, and you need a special cable called a TRS-Y cable, like this, which separates the bass signal and the guitar signal. Long story short, you see these 2 little tips here. The top one is for guitar, the middle one is for bass, but that's not part of this video. You can learn that another time. And with the pickups here, this is very important. I've bought this pickup. Honestly, you can do it with any humbucker. I've spent lots of time experimenting on this, but basically you see how I have a humbucker, and then I removed the poles on 4 of them, so only is for the bottom 2 strings. Same with this one here. This works just as well. I just removed the screw pieces, and this needs to be a split humbucker. So you see it's coil split, and basically I split this one to the bass amp, and this one to the guitar amp. So you still have the functionality of switching and all of that. And this one also has volume for the bass as well. But I figured out this volume is a little bit pointless if you want to go for this setup, and I'll show you why. This pink Les Paul actually is a little bit non-functional. The guitar still works, but the bass doesn't. I've unwired that. But this guitar is the exact same idea. It actually sounds the exact same, so you still have to trust me on this. Middle pickup, this goes to separate jack, and it has these 2 here. So it's the exact same. It doesn't affect the sound, or it's not any different from the Les Paul. So still trust me on that one here. But I'm going to show you the pedal board setup for this kind of guitar setup, okay? Okay, so right now, this is the pedal board I use for kind of my shows, my gigs, without my bass player due to unfortunate circumstances. But the bottom row is for guitar. That really doesn't matter for this video. And then the top row is for the bass, which is the most important thing. So the most important thing for this setup is having the octave pedal, right? I have the Boss OC5. I originally picked this one out because I had the lowest note setting. Honestly, that is complete bullcrap. It doesn't work if you're playing chords or whatever, right? So I just have it to polyphonic to pick up all of the notes. And then this blues driver is just a mute button because I don't have an extra tuner. Then I have two 10-band EQs. This is not important if you're using the guitar like this one, where it has just one dedicated pickup for 2 strings, right? Not like I removed the whole pieces. And then a noise gate and a compressor. And you'll see the reasons why. So I'm gonna mute the guitar, I'm gonna unmute the bass. I'm gonna turn off all the pedals so you can see what kind of happens. It's humming because I didn't ground it properly. Actually, no, this is a single coil, so that's why. But, so this is just the basic guitar, so. Right, I'm playing the bottom 2 notes, strings, and I'm gonna play these 4. Right, and so I've spent weeks figuring this out, but you cannot mute these 4 strings completely with wiring. It's just, they're so close to each other, and then these strings vibrate the other strings. So honestly, it's pointless to try. I've tried for weeks, trust me guys, okay? So that's where these pedals come in. So the first thing you wanna do to mute those 4 strings is to have an EQ pedal, right? So what I do is I have a 10-band EQ, and I like these because you can raise the bass octaves, the bass notes, and lower the higher frequencies. And I like 10-band because it goes higher than the Boss GE7 in terms of frequency range, so you can really dial it in, right? So I'm just gonna play a chord real quick, right? Like a C. So you can already hear it's picking up only the C note, but the other high strings are still being kind of picked up a little bit, right? That's where the EQ comes in. I turn on to EQ, I have it lowered, right? Only one, and I do it, right? It's only picking up the low C, right? The second one is optional. I just use this for extra kind of tone tweaking. Doesn't really matter for this specific setup with the white guitar, right? And then I have the noise gate, which just kind of lowers the higher 4 strings. So if I play something, I'm gonna play a chord, right? I'm just gonna play these 4 strings as loud as possible. You won't hear it through the bass amp. See, there's nothing going through the bass amp. You can hear the camera audio though, right? Just the regular strings. That's what the gate is for, right? And the gate is set pretty low for this specific white guitar. The compressor is here for a few reasons. The first reason is it helps the note kind of sustain longer. It also helps the bass not pop, because when you're strumming chords, some notes are loud, some notes are quieter. This helps kind of keep the sustain level. And obviously you have the octave pedal for a specific reason. So now I can play a chord. I'm just gonna play a C. And it's only picking up that low C, right? That's kind of how this is set up. This is just here to EQ it a little more. A little higher bass, a little better bass sound in my opinion. Now, if you want to use a guitar like the pink Les Paul or the blue Strat, right, that has a stereo output, I'm plugging this one in. I think I just untuned it, but something like this where it has a pickup like this that has 6 pull pieces that I removed 4, right? You're gonna pick up these 4 strings a bit louder. So that's where this EQ comes in. And what I would do is I would lower these high frequencies even more to kind of get that effect. And with the stereo output, you need something like this. I'm only gonna use the bass for now. For this one specifically, it's the red one. I like that. It makes it really convenient. Right, so bass is unmuted. I'm just gonna unmute everything again. Right, so we have the bass, bottom 2 strings being picked up. And you hear that? I'm playing the top 4 strings. And it's a lot louder than the one with the dedicated pickup with only 2 pull pieces and none of this extra pickup space. Right? Much, much louder. That's why you need more EQ, right? So if I turn this on to the settings of last time, right? You're still gonna hear those 4 strings ever so slightly. So what I would do, I would just lower these even more, and you can't hear it anymore, right? A little bit on the 3rd string, but for band purposes, you can't really hear it, right? And then you can obviously lower it, the compressor, and then look. Oop. You still hear it? That's where this gate comes in. I would make this gate higher to cut out those noises. There we go, see? And then I play the lower 2 notes. Still picks it up. I don't want to disturb my neighbors because it's shaking the house. Okay? So that is how you would do it with a guitar like this. Now, there are a few more things I want to talk about, just specifically how to play this kind of guitar with this setup. So stick around, I'll show you that. Okay, so my pedal board's all set up the way I want it for this guitar specifically, but there's special ways when you play it and there's a pickup picking up the bottom 2 strings. Just like if you play bass, if you play more than 1 string, it gets kind of muddy. So for example, oh, it's not plugged in. I'm a fucking idiot. So when I plug in the bass, oh, it's this pickup. Okay. So the bass is plugged in now. All right. I want to play 1 string, 2 strings, right? Sounds fine separately. I'm slowing the volume for my neighbors. Now, if I play 2 at the same time, listen, it's kind of muddy, right? So what you have to do is when you play chords, you have to play the chords in a specific way. So open chords, they don't really work unless the bass string is on the 5th string. So C works, I'm only playing the bass, the guitar is unplugged as you can see. Right? G doesn't work, right? Because these 2, they're muddy. So you're pretty much stuck to bar chords. Now any bar chord with the bass note on the 5th string, it's fine. Right? Easy. Now it's the 6th string notes, 6th string chords with like the bass on the 6th string. This one you have to play it in a Hendrix style. So you can't do the traditional like this, right? Because I play. It's horrible, sounds horrible, it's all muddy. So you have to play it more with your thumb, like this. This way, for me anyway, it mutes the 5th string, right? Right, it's picking up only the bottom 6 notes, so I can play chords, no problem, and it's gonna be fine. So I'll plug in the guitar and give you an example. So the guitar is plugged in. So I cleanly lower the bass a little bit. My window is actually shaking. So here we go. So I'm gonna play like a C. Right, it's fine. Is a G, it's gonna sound muddy because I'm using both notes. Right, really muddy. So G's like this. Right? So if I was to play a progression, something like that's fine, see, and that picks up just the bass note. Just have to be mindful of muting which string you want. So that's an extra kind of thought process you have to get over. Right, and that's kind of all there is to it, and that's how to play bass with your guitar at the same time. So fuck your bass player, go out and replace him, yeah? Now, before I end this video or, go on to other things, I want to talk about the pedal board for the guitar. Distortion doesn't matter, but this Donner pedal, super convenient. It's like 50 bucks. It's really cheap compared to other pedals. Actually, all these pedals are pretty cheap except for a few of them like the OCD and the OC5. But this Donner pedal, amazing. It's a harmonizer pedal. It goes up semitones, so not by like, doesn't go by intervals, it goes by semitones, right? But I have this one set to the fifth to a fifth, and this pedal is a seventh, 7 semitones. But what this does is it plays power chords, right? So let's go ahead and play an E, right? Mute the bass, play an E, just an open E. If I do this, it's E power chord. And why this is important is because regular power chords, you use both of the strings, right? The 5th and the 6th string. You can't do that with this setup. So this pedal just does it for me. Real simple, real simple.